Hi all, I'm Alice Malfoy from the House of Slytherin. As you can probably tell from my title, which is because we have to do this button thing so you can see. This is a house of mean, weird people who simply can't fit in. That was what defined me when I was in middle school. A big part of my teenage life in middle school was spent thinking about how lonesome all human beings are at the end of their story. My social life was spent in front of screen. I buried myself in dark-toned movies and developed an obsession for sad indie pop music. I mocked whoever said that no man is an island, not only because I'm a woman, but because nobody likes me. That's a plain fact. I couldn't negotiate my relationships, and I had to take that consequences. I remember leafing through my notebook one day in one of those days when noticing a comment from my literature teacher, Miss Nee, written in red. That was something that goes in the line of, "This is really insightful. Do you know that?" Well, I didn't. She's talking about this essay I wrote for homework where I was criticizing the evils and unfairness of the society and the world. I expected a C or a D when I handed it in. But insightful. I remember reading my essay over and over and finally came to the conclusion that, yes, this is kind of insightful. I am insightful. Bearing the word insight in mind, I started writing more naive commentaries on current events and confusing short stories and basically anything to drive an average teacher crazy. But looking back, I realized Miss Nee was no average teacher. She was my only audience, and one who always seems to get me. She was the one who keeps telling me that I was insightful and that I was special. I believed her. I started to do my work in school and started to fit in. I really fell in love with writing, and now, 4 years down the road, I'm still a writer. To me, what's fascinating about writing is that everybody can be a writer. That is why writing can bridges and connect people and translate our thoughts, translate our thoughts, just like how Miss Nee has translated the person that I used to be into the person that I am. Now come back to my story. After I got into an international high school, or as our dear principal has pointed out, a Chinese school with a dash of Westernness, I had to speak and write in two languages, Chinese and English. Naturally, translation becomes a big part of my life and a big issue. For example, I just had trouble translating thoughts into language. In other words, I forgot my words. This used to happen all the time during my rehearsals. This is hard because it is the first time in my life that I gave a speech in English in front of so many people. I believe it's the same for almost every speaker here. It is hard, but we do it anyway because we want to share our thoughts with you, because we want to translate our stories into insights. So after all these days, have I got an answer to my teenage question? Are all human beings lonesome at the end of their story? Perhaps. At least Anne Frank probably is. Anne Frank is my favorite writer of all time, although I am never able to connect with her last moments. Well, Anne died in the Belgian Belsen concentration camp in Poland in 1954. I grew up in Shanghai in the 21st century. To me, Nazism was half a century and thousands of miles away. Yet, by diving into Anne's diary, I am able to connect with her soul, her love and her loss and her hope and her death. I understand the worst thing that wars do, which is degrading human spirits. I admire Anne not only as a person, but also as a writer, because she is able to translate something as big as walls and lives into this soundable, resonant voice without knowing what she's doing. In some way, she is no longer lonely even years after her lonesome death. Translation happens across languages and beyond languages. Translation bridges people across time and space. Translation bridges a person that you used to be and the person that you wanted to become. And yes, I think John Donne is right. No man is an island. No woman either. So here's a modern version of the famous No Man is an Island by John Donne. No human being is an island, entire of itself. Every human is a piece of the continent, a part of the main. If a clod be washed away by the sea, the world is a less. And I do think the world needs Slytherins. Thank you.